Just give me a reason to keep my heart beating. Don't worry, it's safe right here in my arms. As the world falls apart around us, all we can do is hold on, hold on.
What is up, guys? This is DT Ninja here to bring you my Detective Conan movie #1 review. Yes, guys, I've been waiting to do this for a while, so I'm pretty excited to share with you guys my thoughts on the movie, what I enjoyed, what were some things that, caught my eye, that were interesting. So I'm not going to go through what the movie was. I just want to go what I enjoyed was some of the aspects that were done really well, and kind of my overall thoughts. So before we even get to that, I wanted to explain why the movies. Why am I reviewing the movies? Now, the movies are quite interesting. Now, as we all know, mangaka can make movies from the manga. Movies can be made from the manga. As we can see, manga becomes movies. We've seen it happen, right? Manga, anime, and then movie. However, Gosho Aoyama even goes further. Gosho Aoyama is the mangaka for Detective Conan. He actually made a manga for a movie. Now, guys, that's incredible. He actually did the movie himself. And this one is Magician of the Silver Sky. It's not this movie. However, as you can see, basically they have the same idea, basically the same characters, everything is very similar. However, it's a little different story. The movie starts out in a different way, and different characters interact, different things happen, a lot of different mysteries, so it's very interesting. But like I said, Aoyama makes these manga and they're movies. They're movies. So he actually is canon. So that's what's really incredible. For example, I believe it's the third movie that I bought the manga for. Now, there was an actual manga for the third movie. Now, it's an actual manga you can buy, and it's the manga, not like this. This is a manga, but it's colored. It's actually smaller. So there's several different alternatives to just the movie, and it's from the original author. So that's what makes it very unique, and that's why I wanted to do these, because they're very interesting. I really enjoy them, and Conan is something that I really love. It's really enjoyable. A lot of action, a lot of suspense, a lot of mystery. A little romance, actually there's quite a bit of romance, throughout, but it's not too little and not too much. It's just the right amount. But anyway, let's get to the movie review. This is called The Time-Bombed Skyscraper. So before we even start, we get this idea of this bomber, right, destroying things. And there's a time limit, right? So that's kind of the whole idea of the movie. Now, obviously, we enter the movie and we have two new characters, okay? Two new characters. The side character, Shiratori, or Detective Santos. Now, Detective Santos, we first meet right as Conan is, being talked to at the hospital, right? After the bomber basically... he's involved with one of the bombings, So he's been hurt, he's at the hospital, and Santos is like, kid, your luck will soon run out. He's like, well, I just got lucky, and he's like, well, someday your luck will run out, So you get this idea of, he's a higher status than everyone else, almost like pompous, kind of, but not too much. Not too full of himself, but Conan's like, what a jerk, the first impression of him. But as we see throughout the story, if you follow the story, Shiratori is a good character. Santos is a good character, but his first impression, Conan's first impression of him, he's a jerk. He basically says, you got lucky. Someday that might run out. He's basically warning him, but in a way, you're a kid. You better watch your step next time. So anyway, that's the first impression of Santos. So the next character we introduce is Leo Joel. So we all know Conan, and we all love Conan, for the gadgets. He's little, so he's got this cute aspect to him. But we all know his greatest weapon is his, what's up here, right? He's an adult with a kid's body, so it's very interesting. But Leo Joel challenges Shinichi. He basically invites him to his manor, right? He challenges him. Now, he's got an ulterior motive. It's not just for, just to welcome him or to meet him. It is kind of to meet him, but it's also, there's also a hidden motive behind it. There always is something, right? Especially in a movie. But anyway, they go, and instead of Shinichi, they bring Conan, right? And the world famous detective Richard Moore. So they meet them. And the first impression of Leo Joel is he's this high class architect, and he, as you see his character more and more, he's got all these high class people, models and business, presidents all around. And then you get like all this food on the table, and it's all been prepared by Leo Joel himself. So that just shows precision and passion for art. Now, that just shows a lot of passion, but it also could mean, he's really extreme about perfection, because as you can see, the food is like perfectly prepared, everything about the party is like really nice. Everything shown at his party looks nice, and then he shows his gallery, right? He's showing around his gallery, and he points out some of his works, and he's like, I was just a kid when I did that. But those were his works that were supposedly looked at as, brilliant, genius. So it was very interesting that he would say something like that, even though the public, everyone saw it as, incredible. So it just shows you some of his character there. So I like that as well. And then you get the whole aspect, he has the riddle, about Momotaro. And by the way, that is a traditional folklore, Momotaro, And it's very interesting how Conan always Detective Conan, the story always brings these Japanese traditions and parts of their culture into the story. And that is really interesting. I really enjoy that. But it's also shows, the genius of Aoyama. So anyway, going back to the character itself, Leo Joel, as we see him throughout the story, we see him as the mastermind. We obviously know he's the mastermind if you've already seen it, obviously if you're watching my review. But we see him going from this, this high-class guy that seems to put perfection, above everything else, and to this person where, he's trying to help out who's doing all this, when in actuality he's the one doing everything. So he has this two-faced persona, he has this idea where, he's trying to help the cops out when actually he's the one doing everything. And I love this aspect where Conan actually goes into the house of Leo Joel again, and all the cops are there. So it's almost like, if they could find him, they could arrest him. If they could figure it out, they could arrest him. But it also reminds me of this idea where Sherlock Holmes, okay, and the idea behind that is his family is originally from England, Sherlock is, obviously, but also Leo Joel. So his family is also from England. So we have this idea of Sherlock Holmes and Professor Moriarty, this genius professor against, the genius detective. And I just love that aspect that, the actual detective going there to face off against the enemy, the bomber himself. Now, obviously, they don't know that at the time, but Conan is, searching for clues, looking for everything, keeping the mystery alive. So I always love seeing that in action. So, but that was very interesting. I really enjoyed seeing that. But yeah, and then we get this idea that he's doing all this. He's doing all these bombings because, obviously he's not okay with these imperfections. He's to the extreme. He wants to show the world that imperfections cannot be tolerated, right? They cannot be tolerated, and they are going to come at the expense of others, even innocent people. Now that's way too much. That's way too much. And Conan and Shinichi, obviously, they agree. That's just crazy. This guy is out to take out anyone or anything in his way. So the main thing, Shinichi delayed production of one of his masterpieces, and it didn't get done to the point where he wanted, and it was imperfect. So we decided to make that piece his final one that explodes, and it just happens to be where his girlfriend and him are supposed to have a date that night. So there's this really suspenseful feeling, towards what could really happen. Like your girlfriend's heading there right now, and what are you going to do? It's going to go off at 12 o'clock no matter what you do. So it's really interesting, but then there's this fearful and suspicion to it as well. So I really enjoyed this movie, but Leo Joel was one of those characters that just I liked at the beginning, but once we figure out who he really is, it's like, man, this guy just, like lost it, like if you gotta learn that there's no such thing as perfection. It's an illusion, it's good to be imperfect, but obviously some people take it to the absolute extreme, and that's one of his cases, right? Okay, some other aspects of the story I liked were the action. Okay, action meaning Conan, using his, solar powered skateboard, using his kick shoes to break one of those, to knock one of the bomb, to knock the plane with the bomb. I also liked the fact that, Aoyama used the docks. Genius. The idea that using the sun as a solar power as the source is actually part of the clue to disarm the bombs. I love that. I like how he went back and used that aspect to actually make it a clue. And that's unique. I really enjoyed that. Because I guarantee you I would not have figured that out. But that's very interesting. I like that. Comedy. Okay, this movie had some comedy. Now, the first one is where, obviously, Rachel and Conan, they're talking, and she explains to them, both of her father and Conan, that, Jimmy's birthday's coming, and I need to get a present, right? And we're going to go on a date. So Conan is actually, she doesn't say birthday at first, and Conan is like, what is this? Like, and it's interesting, the first thing he thinks of was May 4th. That's when Sherlock Holmes, he first thought of Sherlock before his own birthday. It's so funny, because the first thing I would think about was my birthday if it's on the same month. But anyway, that was really interesting and funny. And then he thought of Cinco de Mayo, which is also interesting. But yeah, I just don't know how you can forget your own birthday. I still don't understand how that's possible. I guess if I shrunk down into, a kid's size, I guess it's possible. But his mind stays intact, so yeah, I still don't understand. But anyways, that was funny. And the funny thing is that, he tries to get out of it, That's no good, right, Rachel? And then he's like, I still don't know what I'm going to do for that. And he's like freaking out on the inside, He still doesn't know what to do, because obviously he can't come as Shinichi. There's no drug yet, no antidote yet, so all he has is the voice changer that can possibly, give his voice to her. And that's at the end, right? We all know when the bomb comes, eventually, you know, they're together, right? But there's a wall separating them. So that's very interesting how that is how it is portrayed, and that's how they got together. So I guess it worked out in the end. Another comedy was when Richard frames Santos, Detective Santos. He's like, I got it. It's you, Detective Santos. You loved his father's work and you wanted to make him look, you know, this, and it showed him as an evil guy. It was, it was just classic. It was really funny. Classic Richard mistake. And the look on his face when he was wrong, he's like, sorry about that, you know, you just accused me of murder and that's all you gotta say. But yeah, it's very interesting how the comedy, you know, adds another dimension to the story. Okay, the last part has to be romance, right? Romance. We all know about the gadgets, we all know about the action, the suspense, even the mystery after mystery, figuring out who the killer is, or who the bomber is in this case. But yes, romance. Romance is a really central part of this movie. Now, the whole point here, we have from the beginning, it talks about Rachel reading the, you know, horoscope, and it says that our colors have been, you know, destined, and we have the same colors, right? Our months are in the same color. So it's very interesting how that ends up being another clue on how to defuse the bomb. So that's another thing that Aoyama does. He brings those clues back, you know, that people say. So things that people say come back to the very end, and it solves the mystery. So it's very interesting. And we have this idea where Rachel and Conan, they're back to back, and they're at, you know, death's door, right? If she cuts the wrong string, if she cuts the wrong wire, it's over, right? So there's red and blue, and obviously, you know, her favorite color is red. So Joel set it up so that she'll cut the red one because that's her favorite color. That's what he said, that, you know, he would like that color. So it's that clue that's gonna explode the bomb. That's gonna make the bomb explode. So it's very interesting that Rachel chose something that she doesn't necessarily like, and that ends up, you know, diffusing the bomb. But the idea of them together, he's got the voice changer, so it's got them back to back. Their hearts are still together. So I really enjoyed that romantic scene. It wasn't really romantic, but if it was the end of their life, yeah, that is romantic. So I enjoyed it. Overall, the movie, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It was full of action. It was full of suspense. The mystery was there. The first time I saw it, I wondered if Joel was the guy, especially after he, you know, made his artwork look like kids. You know, he's like, I did that when I was a child, you know, not really praising his own work. I questioned that. But when he returned to his house, I knew he was the mastermind. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my review. Yeah, and as always, one truth prevails.